Make sure you wear a shirt that shows your
that?
pecs now, though. I promise the people.
The people want to see it.
No shirt. Do that.
You got to throw at least 2 chains on.
Yeah. Do something like that.
I'll try something out tomorrow at the track. See how it goes.
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? Yo. It's Chris Simms. It's Chris Simms Unbuttoned. And, his shirt's on. I'm disappointed by that. But he did listen to, Devin McCourty and myself a little bit about showing the pecs. And here he is today wearing, I don't know, some trendy, cool shirt. He's got a kitty cat on his car. He's got kitty cats and palm tree. Oh, leopards? That's what they call it?
Yeah, not a cat guy. More of a leopard guy.
Okay, more of a leopard guy. They are a cat, though, just so you know. A leopard
they're
is
under
a
the
cat.
branch. Just a little bit of toughness, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect cats, Connor Rogers.
Right. It's like calling the Panthers the
They're the
cats.
greatest athletes on the planet. They're the greatest pound-for-pound animal on the planet. Strongest
Speed.
Speed, power.
Yep.
Your leopard can take twice his weight up into a tree.
That's true. They do climb trees.
Right? So I'm an expert on cats. Don't hate on cats.
I see. This is good stuff. This is what you get during schedule release time.
You're an expert on style and tight shirts, and you got to
be fitted well.
Yep, fitted well. The guns are showing today, but thanks for coming in and
great to
saving
be here.
me. That horse's ass. Ahmed Fareed's hanging out with horses down in the precinct. Again. I'm like, he's my work side piece because Forio's my work wife, so he's my side piece. But I really feel like I'm his side piece too.
He's starting to feel that way a little bit.
Right? He's always like, I got something bigger to do.
Right.
I won't be here, whatever.
He's Mr. Derby now.
He's Mr. Derby.
Looking sharp, sounding
he's
good.
Mr. Company guy. So I got to beg him to come in here and host my show every now and then.
Wait till we get basketball. I mean,
I know, right?
You might never hear his
it might
name
just
ever
be you
again.
and me.
Yeah, it really might be at this point. Listen, I'm having fun. I feel like I'm getting in a groove now.
You're starting to
It's
feel
the most time I've spent with you in years.
Right.
I feel like
we're comfortable. We've hit enough reps here too where it's like, oh, okay. Usually when you have another host, there is a little bit of a how is the give and take
it's like a speed
work?
Bump.
Right.
Yeah.
Just how do we work together, we joke together, whatever else. And I think we've had enough reps here this year to where we don't even worry about that anymore.
And this is kind of the last, I feel like, big event on the NFL calendar before you get that quiet time.
Before the Chris Simms
and by
Top
the
40.
way, what do you think of the league? Before the Chris Simms Top 40. That's right. You found a way in the calendar to really keep the internet angry and engaged.
Yeah, thank you.
Which I give you a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I appreciate
Actually, the anger's kind of gone down over the years.
A little bit, hopefully.
Now it's just more excitement, which is a credit to you. But the schedule release, the league. What do you think of the league? How much they've built this up? Because I feel like 5 years ago is you get it, you find out the schedule and you kind of just move on. A couple of team social accounts do something. Now it feels like almost a borderline holiday for the league.
The league has just exploded to a stratosphere that it's almost unimaginable, really, right? Between, again, the draft getting better ratings than the NBA Finals, right? It's guys standing there being picked, and we're so obsessed with the sport. We're like, this is awesome. Look at him. He's standing, and he's going to walk over there, and he's going to wave to the crowd, and we're going to go, oh, my gosh, this is awesome. Let me see the next guy.
Think of the crowd that it draws.
Exactly.
Since it's a traveling event now.
The combine where we're at. Right? Of course, you're talking about here, I mean, the schedule release, it's dominated the week of news for the most part, other than a little bit of the Celtics, Knicks, and Jason Tatum hurting his Achilles tendon. The big talk has been the schedule. And I honestly still don't think they do it perfectly, right? I'll get on it leaks, and I think they could, I will piggyback off of Florio. This is his idea, so I don't want to take it as my own. But he's kind of always been Monday should be we release all the Monday night games and just celebrate that day. Tuesday we do the Sunday night games.
Segment it. I like that a lot.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And then last night, and then here's the rest of the games, right? Here's the meat and potatoes of the schedule, but focus on the marquee matchups and the big, spotlight games. I do think they could capitalize more, but either way, it's still big news last night.
I think his idea will come to fruition because they're already starting to do that with the Christmas games.
Yeah.
They're here's a Christmas game, and then 4 hours later, here's the other Christmas game. And you get the, obviously the announcement of when the Brazil game is going to be and all these international games as well. So when the schedule dropped, Chris, you always look at it and you have one takeaway, right? League-wide, this team might have got screwed or this team, hey, they could actually get off to a hot start in September because of the way things are set up. What was your big picture aerial view takeaway?
My and this is kind of 3 days in the making back to what you were talking about a little bit. We've had little snippets of teams here, but it is still, I think, holds true even after the full release last night. One is the NFL is playing the hits this year. I feel like they've gone with hey, we know who the good teams are, right? That we're going to play them on Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and we don't care if they got to have a brutal schedule.
Right.
If you're a good football team, a big market, an old tradition power in the NFL, like Washington or the Eagles or the Bears or the Chiefs, of course, and all that, and you have a good quarterback, we're going to put you on TV as much as we possibly can. That would probably be my big picture theme as far as the whole NFL that's jumped out to me. It doesn't seem like they care about unfairness or schedule disparity anymore. They're going with that, and I do think this is a year, and I said this a little while ago, and I'm interested to see if you agree with me here. And I'm not saying I'm right, but I do think we're in a year here where I think the top teams are the top teams is here.
I would agree.
Right? Where I don't know if I look at some of the teams that didn't make the playoffs last year where I go, oh, there's a group this year to say, watch out. Right? I know Cincinnati, sure. We know that. But still, there's questions you got there.
Yeah.
And then what's going on with Trey Hendrickson and the defensive side of the ball. Right?
It isn't getting any better.
Right. In the NFC, I know we got teams like Atlanta on the doorstep and the Dallas Cowboys on the doorstep and stuff like that. But I still think when we get into the meat and potatoes of the teams that went to the playoffs last year, right? I don't think like the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, the Texans, the Lions, the Eagles, the Rams, they're not falling off. I mean, maybe they don't go to the playoffs, but they'll be in the playoff picture to the last week of the year.
Right.
And I feel like the NFL kind of looked at it the same way and went, wait, quarterbacks, these teams, they're good. Let's go with it.
I mean, look at the primetime games. They'll tell you exactly what you are thinking,
right?
How much they are leaning into that, when the fact is it's no surprise that the Chiefs sit with 7 primetime games because it's Patrick Mahomes. They're consistently good. They're entertaining. People like to watch the Chiefs whether they like them, or a lot of people like to root against them.
Exactly.
Right.
You're exactly right.
Cowboys, we know what kind of global brand they are.
Yeah.
So they have 6. And the Cowboys are the one team, Chris, that I think has a chance, not definite, but a chance to go against the grain of what you said, where they could be good this year when they weren't good last year. But there's an outlier there.
Right.
Dak was hurt.
Yeah.
So, that's not really
but they're one of those
crazy.
short list teams of we put in with Cincinnati,
yes,
Dallas, maybe Atlanta, where I would go, those are 3 teams that didn't make it in last year, where I'd go, no, they could definitely be in this year and replace somebody else. But to what you're talking about, I know we're going to hit on the Chiefs here in a minute and do all that. Personally too, the other thing I always do when I get the schedule, I look at the Giants. I'm a Giants fan.
Right.
I want to see what's going on there. I want to see if I can maybe go to a game with my family and try to work that out, right? Because we work on Sundays. Is there a Monday night, a Thursday night game that maybe you can go to? But I look at that. Then I go across the country to the 49ers because I look at my buddies and Shanahan and John Lynch and want to see what they got to face, early on in this season. And then I kind of start to go to the heavy hitters. And I would say after I went to those 2 teams, I then went to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I went, holy shit. Kansas City Chiefs, again, I don't know if I've ever seen a team with a schedule like this. I think that we're in uncharted territories here. 7 night games. And I got some people on my Instagram telling me, well, the Patriots always had these tough schedules. I know that, but it wasn't to this extent. I got it. I know it. They didn't have 7 night games, 7 games that start at 7 p.m. or later. They didn't play on Thanksgiving and Christmas. They didn't have other standalone games that are also going to be primetime only games that are not on. They have 9 primetime games, basically. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about their schedule, how all over the place it is. Never going to get in a routine. Coming off a year last year where they played on every day of the week except for Wednesday, right? Correct? I think I'm somewhere in the general vicinity there.
That sounds right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so within that, here we are again, and I know they're not going to make any excuses, but, man, the league is not doing them any favors with the toughness of the opponents they have and how they have to travel and go, and every week's almost going to be a different week for them.
Irregular rest.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get to.
That's the biggest issue, I think, across the sport right now. And when everybody kind of throws in your face, we're eventually going to want 20 games. Well, until they actually do sports science data and are open to a second bye week, rest is a massive problem with the sport that deteriorates the product.
Yeah.
So, the Chiefs are built to handle something like this because they're just that good.
Right.
And obviously they're a team that will, kind of dive into, okay, how do we overcome this? But you're absolutely right, Chris, because even like you look at a regular game they have, a non-primetime game, the Ravens are one of those games. It's a brutal game.
Exactly right. There's their afternoon game. After they go, also, I know it's the Giants the week before, but it's the Giants home opener, and it's on Sunday night too. So there is something to that too that's even hard, even though I know they're better than the Giants.
Right, at Buffalo.
Exactly.
It's one of those normal games.
Normal games, right? Here's your normal schedule week. You're going to play one of the 3 best teams in football, right? And deal with that. So I'm with you all the way. And on top of that, like you said, the science not there and all of that. Hey, it is hard. I don't give a crap what you say. You watch enough Thursday night football games. Sometimes you see teams that it's hard to go out and maybe play as physically crazy as you did on Sunday. You're not physically rested there. The other thing about those short week games too that I think people lose sight of is really good coaches lose a day or two to add more to the game plan. Creative things.
Right.
Let me sit back and just let me watch the film and let it marinate, not the pressure of like, we got to get it done right now. And let me watch this one more time. Oh, that's a good idea. You lose that too. And to you, I know you're this kind of guy. I'm this kind of guy. You're a routine guy.
100%.
You're a routine guy. Everybody in the NFL is. Mostly NFL guys, as you know, they're
better for the body.
A personality. They're OCDs. They're into their body. They're and so here you are disrupting the weekly schedule all the time. And I mean, you, me, whatever. Even when my TV schedule is different. Oh, I've done it this way 3 weeks in a row. Now, whoa, this week's like this week's like that. It adds to your stress levels. It adds to the comfort in your brain and your body. And they got to deal with all of that. And I know they embrace it. They're awesome at it. And they love being the traveling road show that everybody watches. But I will say it's still about as tough as I've ever seen as far as the schedule and how it all lays out for them.
Just the opening of you playing a different environment in Brazil against the Chargers, who are wildly physical
and going to be ready to go.
And then you get back
their mark.
And you play the Eagles.
Right.
Those are 2 of the most physical matchups any team will see back-to-back all year.
And then you have that, and you go, well, at least they'll have a long week to prepare for the Eagles. Oh, wait, the Eagles will have one more day than they will.
Right.
Because they're going to play on the Thursday before they play Brazil. So, yes, and then everybody sees it here if you're watching. Ravens at home after the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Okay, then it's, oh, wait, we got a long week, but still, it's at Jacksonville on Monday Night Football. It's going to mess with your schedule to then jump into a short week again where you're going to play the Lions on Sunday Night Football. So it's kind of amazing to me. And then, oh, hey, it's your week off. It's only your longtime rival, the Raiders. And then it's, oh, hey, it's back to the Commanders in the NFC Championship game. And again, on Monday Night Football. So, and then it's a short week at the Bills, like you talked about. I have never seen quite the gymnastics of how that goes, let alone like you're talking about. The AFC West is good. And we know the Broncos are good and the Chargers are physical as hell. They don't want to make a statement that they're the new king of the AFC West in week 1. So, yeah, I'm really shocked by the Kansas City Chiefs schedule.
So we're going to do the unthinkable here. We are going to dive into the Instagram comments for a second.
Right.
This one from Mark Capello, 37. He said, the Patriots did for 20 years. It's part of being one of the top teams.
I know it's part of being one of the top teams, but the Patriots did not do it to this extent. No, they never played 7 night games. Never. And then let alone did they play,
Brazil?
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
The NFL didn't go to Brazil.
Right, and go to Brazil. Exactly. So that's where, again, I understand that. I said that on the Pro Football Talk show today with Florio. I said, I've never seen anything like this. I said, the Patriots who won 6 Super Bowls in 18 years and were in a bunch of other ones, I don't remember ever their schedule looking like this and being this crazy. So that's amazing. And again, I think it goes back into, we've seen the NFL is going to ride the hits here. They're done with like, oh, we think this team might be a riser and might come up. They're just going, no, screw you. We're going with the Eagles. We're going with the Chiefs. We're going with the Lions. We're going with the Ravens. We're going with the Commanders. Deal with it. After that, it'll be the Packers. And that seems to be the game they're playing here.
Well, they got burned by it last year with the Jets, with Rodgers.
The Jets
had 6 primetime games, I believe. And, obviously the second half of them, it was like this team's kind of dead in the water.
I think
so they're going to go with teams they're more confident in, and they didn't take it any really much easier on the Eagles. When you look at the Eagles' schedule, this is the 4th toughest schedule in the NFL. This is based off of projected win totals for 2025.
Yeah, which I like better.
I do too, because there's just so much turnover in the NFL and change.
Right.
And I think the number that stands out to me, Chris, is 11 of their games, 11 total games against teams that were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, it's the Eagles have been, I feel like, a little lucky with how the schedule has shook out the last few years.
2 years ago, I think it was week 11, we didn't know if they'd played a single like competent team.
2 years ago, no joke, I know you, me, Ahmed Fareed, we were sitting here before the year going, like, they're going to be 10-1 at this point of the year.
And we still won't know if they're that good.
Right, but they're going to be 10-1. Last year was even a year with their schedule where I remember going, they're going to be 8-2 or something like that. Like I was like, wow, this is pretty favorable for one of the better teams in football. Now, this year, hey, they got their work cut out for them. It's not the Chiefs' schedule, okay? I'm not going to say that. We know they got a lot of standalone games, and honestly, I'm surprised they're not on primetime a little bit more. It's the Eagles, it's the fan base, right? They always get good ratings there. They're, to me, like, if the Eagles fall apart this year, they'll be 12-5, right? Or like 11-6. That'll be falling apart. They're a safe bet. They got a lot of explosive, fun players. The Cowboys on opening night on our channel is going to be awesome. I mean, that's the banner's getting lowered. Will they be distracted thinking how great they are, thinking about last year? But then to play 4 playoff teams right after that, and like, you know, not like the 2 after that are the Chiefs and the Rams, where I go, they're not playoff teams. Those are Super Bowl teams.
Right,
there's like
difference.
a different category there. They are thinking that. And then you got at the Buccaneers, who have been kind of a kryptonite for the Eagles over the last few years, and the Broncos, who we know with Sean Payton and Bo Nix, are all going in the upward trajectory as well. So, yeah, the Eagles definitely got some tests in front of them, but if there's one team right now that I look at that I'm not too worried about, it's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, they're built for that, but it is absolutely a brutal September for them. And then even quietly, listen, the Giants are going to have their work cut out for them, but if you want more of a coin flip scenario, it's on Thursday Night Football because of everything you just said. Like, some of your strengths become a little bit more level of a playing field.
Definitely.
Saquon maybe with a little bit of tired legs coming off of a short week kind of situation.
Exactly right.
So, listen, it's the Giants. The Eagles will be favored by a touchdown to win that game, you would think. But it's Thursday Night Football. They're at the Giants. The Giants will be fired up. There's no layups in this situation.
No.
Even for games that they're projected to win by that much.
It is. And we know they're better than the Giants. And, yes, of course, I expect them to win and do that. You got the Vikings sandwich in between those 2 Giant games. The second half of the schedule, too, is where you look at it and go, wow, they have the Raiders in Week 15. But when you talk about at Packers, Lions, at Cowboys, Bears, at Chargers, and I think the Bears will be a much better team this year. And then those last 3 games, to have the Commanders, at Bills, and then Commanders again. I mean, you talk about a 3-week stretch there that could affect who wins the NFC East, who's the higher seed in the playoff rankings, maybe even affects the Bills and what they got to do. I don't know. That to me jumped out. The Eagles, the first 5 weeks and those last 3 games especially, they could go a long way to telling us whether they're the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, or wherever they're placed in the NFC.
I feel like playing the Commanders twice in the last 3 weeks is the NFL trying to get playoff games before the playoffs. It's like a little bit of a cheat code.
It does feel like that.
Like when we had Vikings Lions.
Right.
They're trying to find more of those.
It is cool. What I always say about that too, I like it, but you could also, the unintended consequences are Eagles and Commanders could both be in the playoffs in Week 17
Doesn't
and
matter.
go, it doesn't really matter if we're this seed or that seed. So I don't know. There's that aspect. The other aspect of that I always question is like, okay, we got Commanders, and then we got Commanders 2 weeks later. And then the way it could shake out is we could be in the wild card round and go, oh, it's the Eagles-Commanders again.
Right.
So that's where
3
I
out of
don't
4.
like that. And go, man, 3 out of 4 weeks we're seeing the same
risky.
matchup. I don't always love that, and there's a possibility of that happening when you do things like that.
All right, let's take a look at 2 contenders from each. Obviously, one from the AFC, one from the NFC. Ravens or Lions, Chris? Which contender's schedule is tougher? When they released the schedule, I couldn't believe the Lions' hand they were dealt.
I can't either. I don't even know where to start here.
Let's go through the Ravens.
Let's go through the Ravens.
They got 4 primetime games, which is, to me, I know it's a lot, but it's still shocking it's that low because it's Lamar Jackson. I would say if I was picking one player in the NFL I'd like to watch the most on any given day, I think it would be him.
Oh, you're usually like, there's never dull, right? You're never going to get
it's entertaining.
So it's as entertaining as can be.
Him, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
The way the Chiefs play, I don't feel that way about Mahomes anymore, as great as he
because
is.
they're playing a different
They play a different style of
football.
football.
They are right now.
But the Ravens and Bills come top of mind.
I agree because it's a little bit, and I feel like the Lions, we're going to talk about this too, even though they don't have the quarterback, but they just attack.
Right.
That's why I think it's fun to watch. It's like it's 1st and 10, and Lamar's looking for a 30-yard completion.
Right.
Oh, it's 2nd and 10. And he's looking for a 30-yard completion again,
and
right?
then he runs for 20.
And then he runs for 20.
Right.
And then he gives it to Derrick Henry, and he runs for 20. And you're like,
yeah.
damn, this is fun to watch. Look at this. Oh, Zay Flowers is open over the middle for a 40-yard gain now, right? So that's where I think it's fun. But, man, to go back to the scene of the crime where they were better than the Bills and blew that game in the divisional round. They got the Browns week 2. Okay, yeah, they should win that game, but hopefully they don't, piss down their leg like they did week 2 at home against the Raiders last year, which cost them playoff seeding and having to go to Buffalo late in the year. But, man, like we talked about with the Eagles a second ago, you go Bills. Okay, you go Browns, we know that. But then Lions at Chiefs, Texans, and Rams, like we talked about a minute ago, those are not, to me, those aren't playoff teams. Those are all Super Bowl contenders again. Bills, Lions, Chiefs, Texans, Rams are in the Super Bowl window. And that's where I'm amazed by that. So 5 out of your first 6 games, you look at it there and go, man, the great Baltimore Ravens, who I think are one of the best football teams in the game, is it crazy to think they might be 3-3 and have to fight their way out of it, or maybe 4-2, hopefully 5-1 if you're a Ravens fan, whatever. But yeah, there's some serious tests there, and I'm with you in shock that they're not in another primetime game or so.
Yeah, a tough schedule for the Ravens, but definitely a little bit more regular rest overall. They do have the Bengals Thanksgiving. That's as good as it gets, I think.
That'll be awesome for us.
Yeah.
I mean, to watch those two, Burrow and Lamar, healthy, with the Browns and Jets leading up to that. But yeah, like I think what you said, it's a tough schedule, but after Thanksgiving, it's a normal schedule,
right?
And they'll be able to get in a routine that way. And again, I'm not one to sit here and go, oh, win, loss.
Right,
I'm not going to sit here and do that crap. I'm big into let's look at the first 4 or 5 weeks. That's real. And where are you traveling? How good's that team? And I know some of these teams might not be as good as we think, but there's certain things you can glean here where it's like, we don't know how good the Bengals and the Steelers will be late in the year when the Ravens have to play them. But I'm also comfortable in saying, unless their whole team gets injured or like their 4 best, I don't care what their records will be. Those will not be easy games because of the team, the culture, and the quarterback and stuff like that. To where, yeah, I know I'm not going to go wins or losses, but I can certainly go, oh, okay, yeah, they're better than the Patriots. But it's Vrabel. The Patriots are one of the most improved teams. They're not going to be, at least in my mind, a team that's like, oh, it's week 16. We'll pack it in this week. Right. We're not as good as the Ravens, right? Like, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, there's some stretches on their schedule that certainly open your eyes a little bit.
The Lions, on the other hand, this is a team that's obviously going to be in the spotlight on a lot of primetime situations. They also have a Thanksgiving game against the Packers. They have a Monday night game against those Ravens on week 3. They have a lot of primetime games, both holidays.
Like the Chiefs playing Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Now, the question I'll throw at you, Chris, that I think is the biggest thing for the Lions to match with this schedule is they're doing this while basically the entire staff has been rehauled. 2 new coordinators.
Ooh, I'm with you, man.
It's like you'd like to kind of
ease your way into
figure
it.
some things out.
Right.
Like, these are going to be our challenges that we weren't used to last year on each side of the
Johnny
ball.
Morton's working on this.
Right.
Shepard, the defensive coordinator, is doing this to add his own little wrinkle to the defense. But we're not as good as we will be in 3 weeks.
Exactly.
So you're saying the right things. And then on top of that their schedule is scary. You talk about that, the Pack, you're going to have to go to Green Bay, who's Green Bay is going to be like, wait, you've had your way with us here as of late. They're going to be pissed off trying to make a statement there. Okay, Jordan Love, too. Like you said, so now we got 2 coordinators kind of finding their way. And then the Bears coming to town in the second week is scary, too. So there you got 2 teams that really know you. And Ben Johnson's going to really know you. And Ben Johnson's the kind of guy that will have 3 or 4 trick plays up his sleeve to kind of go,
this one means a lot.
Hey, you guys miss me, don't you?
Yeah. This one means a lot.
So that to me is scary, right? For as awesome as they are, to say, oh, could they lose to the Packers? And then could they, a much improved Bears team, maybe sneak up on them at home in their home opener and they're 0-2? And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, your third game, you're going to the Ravens, right? That's where I look at it and go, man, it's dangerous as hell. And then you got a Browns game, and then you're on the road at the Chiefs and at the Bengals with the Buccaneers after that, where I go, that's real. That's a real deal right there. And I do look at their schedule and some stretches of it, and I would put their schedule right up there with the Ravens and the Chiefs, that I think is the toughest schedules I've seen so far.
Yeah, and some numbers to back that up. Their road schedule, 7 of the 9 road games are against teams that were in the playoffs last year. The only 2 that weren't are the Bears and the Bengals.
Where you're like the teams that could definitely be in it.
100%.
Yes.
Those are two bounce-back teams, or at least the Bears going in the right direction. The Bengals, I think everybody's going to be kind of high on them. It was just a weird year last year. Another weird wrinkle, and we talk about this in fantasy a lot because it does matter with the Lions' offense. They played only 3 outdoor games last season. They play 7 this year. 7. Now, the good caveat is they only have 1 outdoor game after Week 11, so when the weather turns, they're not constantly outdoors. But that will be something to watch with Jared Goff.
Everybody will watch that for sure. I do think that I don't put as much importance as I used to. Right? I think that we've seen enough games of them in the cold over the last few years.
I agree.
Okay, they're pretty good. And, what I've said to Florio in the past is I know they're a dome team, but they're still living in Detroit. And they're used to those elements. It's not like they're a team from the South or really warm weather. All of a sudden it's like, whoa, it's cold out here. No, their ass is cold every day when they go to practice too. And they practice outside more times than not. So I do think that takes it away a little bit. But your point about Jared Goff and throwing the ball outside, that's always been something we've watched. But he's got enough reps in it now to where I think he's probably a lot more comfortable than his days with the Rams.
And I think that's why a team like the Lions, they invest in both sides of the trenches as much as they do. Because that's what travels. Like an offensive line and a defensive line travels and matches up conditions.
100%.
So that's why they've built – they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. I don't expect the Lions to fall off. Now, when the Lions maybe lose a few more games than last year because of the schedule or because they're getting used to the offense and defensive coordinator and all that, sure. I certainly could see that happening. But, I still expect them to be one of the best teams in football. But, man, there's no spot in their schedule where you look at to go, well, that's a pretty good, easy stretch, right?
There's no breather.
I mean, there really isn't. I mean, they might have a game or every now and then where you go, okay, they'll beat the Giants in Week 12, but it's sandwiched in between the Commanders and the Eagles and then the Packers and the Cowboys and the Rams after that.
Right.
Like, it's a lot of heavy hitters on their schedule. And, again, heavy hitters where I go, barring an injury to the quarterback, I just go, I don't know how awesome these teams will be, but it won't be easy to beat them. I don't give a shit what the Rams are or the Cowboys are. If Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford are healthy, it's going to be a tough game. The Steelers, I don't give a damn what their record's going to be. If Aaron Rodgers is out there and it's the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, they're not going to just roll over and die for you, right? So I look at their schedule to be really grueling in a lot of ways.
There's nothing the NFL likes more than a new superstar quarterback and saying, okay, you had a good rookie season. Now we're going to throw you on primetime a million times. Look at the Commanders' schedule. They have 8 standalone games. That's tied with the Chiefs for the most, as we've talked about earlier. 5 primetime games. That's the most for them since 2017. They have a Christmas game. They have the Madrid game against the Dolphins in Week 11. They're here on NBC and Peacock twice for Sunday Night Football. They have a Saturday game against the Eagles at the end of the season, the week before the Christmas game.
Right.
They got Green Bay on the short week early in the season against Thursday Night Football. And the Giants are going to play them tough Week 1, where that short week against Green Bay in Week 2 won't be easy. The opponents here, Chris, aren't as scary as the other teams we've gone through.
I would agree.
But, man, are they thrusted into the spot. Like, there's no hiding this year if you're the Commanders.
No, exactly right. I mean, I think the NFL, again, back to our theme, is going, wait, there's talent on the team, there's a good vibe, and they got a quarterback that's special, and this is one of our powers to be in the NFL that hasn't been real powerful in a while, so we're going to ride that a little bit. And I don't expect the Commanders to fall off. And, like you said, the 8 standalone games, it's a lot. I mean, why they have more than the Philadelphia Eagles, that's surprising to me. It is. It's a little weird that way. But, the second year, have they been puffing their chests out, thinking they're the man too much this year after what happened last year, all that? How are they going to handle it, right? We so often see kind of the sophomore slump from quarterbacks. I don't expect any of that to happen with Jaden Daniels and all that. But I think like what you said, it's not quite as tough to me, the schedule, and even though they're standalone games, it doesn't seem as all over the place as the Chiefs, and that's what's a little bit different. There's a little more consistency in their routine, like we talked about earlier here with what the Washington Commanders are doing.
Yeah, I think the rest is a little bit more normal for this one. Even like their 2 Monday night games are in a span of two out of 3 weeks.
Yes.
So your rest isn't that off balance. The Madrid one will be a little interesting, but they took the bye after the international game, which that goes a long way as well. And And then you kind of look at the end of the year. I mean, we talked about this when we talked about the Eagles, but 2 out of 3 against the Eagles down the stretch, and the Cowboys sandwiched in between on Christmas Day. The NFC East might not be decided at all.
No.
Until the end of the last 3
I think
season.
you and I are both a believer that the Cowboys are going to be better than the public thinks.
What would you guess their win total was a week ago? I was floored by this.
I accidentally heard, and somebody told me in an interview I was doing.
Yeah.
I think it was 7.
7.5.
Right? Well, to me, when I heard that, I was like, that's too low.
Right.
Like, I don't know what you're thinking. Like, the Cowboys got talent on their football team here. Like, there's a lot of spots you can look at and go, oh, wow, that's pretty good. Oh, that's pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, what you like to what you're saying there, I mean, you could see a Commanders team who could be playing the Cowboys to become the second team in the NFC East and still get in the playoffs, behind the Eagles, but in front of the Cowboys, whatever. It could shake out a lot of different ways here. But, yeah, Washington is back on the scene in a big way, and the NFL knows it.
The good thing for the Commanders, they have the easiest September schedule in the NFL based off of projected win totals for the year. So kind of an easy launching point for them to get right back on track of where they finished the season off.
Yeah,
We're going to hit some more schedule reactions, including the teams who might have more of those soft Septembers right after this. All right, we went through a lot of difficult schedules. Let's look at some of the lighter Septembers.
Oh,
a couple teams that kind of just get to, put it in cruise control maybe, although that's a dangerous mindset.
Well, there's value in that. Right. You get a chance, like you mentioned it last segment. You get a chance to kind of get your feet underneath you.
Like, what are we good at?
You're not going to be playing your best football early on in the season.
No preseason anymore.
Right. So there's things you're going to be working on. You're hoping that, hey, I don't have this gauntlet, that we can maybe get a team or two where, okay, we're confident in some of our matchups and we can pull out the win as we work on some things on our football team. The 2 best teams I was ever on in my career had kind of an easy schedule or an easy start of the season. And one was the Tennessee Titans. We ended up being the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs in the 2008 season. But, like, the first 5 weeks, we played teams where it was like, no, we're better than them. As long as we don't mess this up, like, we're going to win the football game. And the same thing with the playoff team. I was the starting quarterback with the 2005 Bucs. Same thing. But what it does, when you start 0-2 in the NFL, I can't explain to people how intense and how uptight the organization gets when you walk in the building. Like, I can remember years of being like, man, we started off bad, and literally walking in that next Monday, like you're 0-2 or 0-3, and you can just feel the tension and the pressure in the building. The coaches can't even joke around or talk anymore normally, right? All of that. And a lot of times, hey, some teams can fight through that and get out of it, but a lot of the times the pressure starts to, the players feel it.
Right.
And now they're overthinking, and they're trying too hard, and instead of doing my job, I tried to help you with your job, but they exposed me on my job.
Right.
And it just all becomes a snowball where you get an easy start of the schedule, you get a win. Okay, everybody's happy. Oh, now the coach, hey, you got a win under the belt. You got another one. Now the coach is like, hey, let's try this trick play this week. We got a team we're playing. We're 2-0. We might need to take – oh, we got the confidence. Hey, let's do it. And all of a sudden it starts to feed yourself to where you might not even played very good teams through the first 4 weeks, but you're like, we're 3-1. We're good.
Belief.
We're good.
Belief is a hell of a drug.
Right? And they might all end up 0-16, the other teams. That you still are telling yourself you're good, and that's why I think we are focusing on the early part of the schedule so much.
Right. And, sometimes then after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, there's headlines of should this team make a coordinator change.
Exactly.
And it's impossible not to read into that. Coaches will tell you they don't read anything.
Right.
But
this guy be benched.
Right.
So the quarterback.
Right.
What's going on with him? That's what I'm saying. So when you start off slow, it opens up Pandora's box for a lot of bullshit your team's got to deal with.
Well, a team that shouldn't have to deal with that at all is the Buffalo Bills. They have the 5th easiest schedule in the NFL based off projected win totals. 5 primetime games. This is Josh Allen and a really good team, so no surprise there. But honestly, Chris, September, they're going to have so much built up for this Ravens game, of course, on NBC and Peacock. But then it's Jets, Dolphins, Saints. The Patriots will be better this year, but I don't think they're in the class of Buffalo. Falcons will be better this year. But once again, and then even after the bye week, the Panthers, I mean, there's just no world where the Bills should have any bumps in the first 2 months of the season.
Well, like you're talking about here, their first 8 weeks of the year, there's only really one proven commodity, and that's the Ravens in week 1. who are going to come up there with a chip on their shoulder, like we
Right.
talked about before with the playoff loss. But no, the Jets is like, hey, there's talent, but we don't know what they're going to look like yet. The Dolphins kind of seem like they're a rebuild on the fly right now.
In a weird place,
In
yeah.
a weird place. And Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill, and the offensive line's going to be different. And they got Jalen Phillips coming back from a serious injury. And is Bradley Chubb's going to be what he thinks? And so, yeah, there's a lot of questions. The Saints are probably the most irrelevant team in football right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not trying to be a jerk. And then the Patriots and Falcons, like you said, like we think they're going to be better, but they're not proven commodities here yet. So you talk about all the top teams in football and that Super Bowl window teams. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills are one you look at to go, that's one of the better schedules I've seen so far.
And it's as much as it'd be nice to beat the Ravens and that game's going to be built up beyond belief, if they lose that game, it's the perfect bounce back to still be 4-1 right after.
Right.
Where, like, you never call anything a house money game, and no one's going to treat it that way, but you do feel like you kind of have a soft landing if, say you lose on a fluky field goal or something like that. It's like, well, we're going to get our next 3, and we're going to get this thing
Yeah,
right.
you would hope. You would
Right.
hope that would be the case. They have the type of team and leaders up there that, yeah, I don't think they're going to fall asleep at the wheel against anybody there. And, yeah, we've seen that they know how to defend the Dolphins better than anybody out there. Sean McDermott knows Mike McDaniel's offense. They can be explosive against the Bills, and they got them at home on a short week. That's one of their tough little things there on week 3 on Thursday Night Football. But, yeah, Bills, damn good football team. We know that. We know they're going to be in the mix, and their schedule is definitely helping them out.
One of the most interesting teams, storyline-wise, for schedule release day has to be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Because if this is a team starting Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, I think the combos are a little different of how we view them in terms of excitement for primetime. If this is a team that has Aaron Rodgers, and listen, NFL VP Mike North said if the league knew Aaron Rodgers will play, we probably would have scheduled that Steelers Week 1 game for a national television window. Of course, it's against the Jets, because not only would you have Rodgers against the Jets,
Yeah.
you have Justin Fields against the Steelers.
I know.
How many times do we get that scenario?
It's amazing, right? I think the thing I look at with the Steelers, everybody's been talking about, and there's been like, oh, Rodgers going to wait to see the schedule before he makes a commitment. I don't know if I think that's true, right?
I don't know what he's waiting for.
I do think that Rodgers is going to be the quarterback of the Steelers. All things point to that. I always say when the owner comes on TV and probably pretty much says that too, I'm going to get behind that. If the schedule was something he was going to look at, I think he's going to look at it and go, okay, this ain't that bad. I like that. We could do something here. Again, like you're talking about, it's another chance to kind of get your feet underneath you, get your sea legs going here before you might get into some of the really tough, ultimate, playoff type of football teams here. But yeah, you get a revenge tour game with the Jets and the Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers thing. That's going to be cool. You get to go out, you get Seattle at home. Seattle's a new team, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, no DK Metcalf.
You want them
DK
early.
Metcalf's going to have
that's the truth.
a
It's a
revenge
DK Metcalf
there,
revenge
right?
game.
Right? Week 4 is the Vikings in Dublin, and Rodgers talking to the Vikings this offseason. That's kind of interesting in itself, and he's going to be able to show them and be like, hey, you picked J.J. McCarthy. Look at what I do today.
Which is
right?
how he thinks.
Yeah, exactly right. So you got that aspect, and then how can you not look at our game in Week 8 with the Packers coming to Pittsburgh?
Oh, man.
So, yeah, I look at it in a lot of ways and go, man, this is setting up perfectly for the Aaron Rodgers revenge tour with the Pittsburgh Steelers here, and a schedule that, I don't look at to be like, no, they can get off to a good start and gain that confidence we talked about, and then hopefully get in playoff form as the season goes along.
And for a guy that had so much trouble kind of getting on the same page with everyone with the Jets early last year, the Steelers have the second easiest September schedule. So it goes back to your point of like, okay, this is a little bit more enticing, a little bit more comfort. We'll look at the Rams as well, because you mentioned, Chris, like Super Bowl contender is how we should describe the Rams, not just playoff team. They're a team, when you look at the schedule, Texans, okay, they're going to be a tough team, and that's at home. At Tennessee with the rookie quarterback, at Philadelphia. Then you have the Colts. This schedule is a little bit all over the place. There are some soft landing spots with a mix, of course, of tough matchups.
It's not horrible, right? I look at it, Texans Week 1, and I know we're going to talk about the Texans, I think, a little later here, but look, that'd be the one I'd want to get them. Again, I favor the Rams early on in the season just because I go, wait, Stafford, McVay, they're gonna have their offense and their ducks in a row. They'll be clicking on a lot of cylinders early on in the football season. I wouldn't want to mess with the Rams early on in the football.
Healthy Puka, healthy
exactly
Devontae.
Right. Excited about being a Super Bowl contender type team. Certainly better than the Titans. I know they got the Eagles at Philadelphia, but we saw, and this is why I put them in there. Right. They had them on the ropes. And then you get a Colts team, which we don't know what the hell they're going to be like. The 49ers team, which is kind of rebuilding on the fly there on a short week, and you're going to get them at home. To where, again, it's not the easiest schedule in the world, but I think where you look at it and you go, hey, the first 7 games, there's a few dicey ones, I get it. But the back half of the schedule, there's some stretches of going, this ain't too horrible here. And there's definitely some teams there where I would go, I'm not sure how some of those teams are going to be. The Seahawks, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Falcons again. I'm just not sure. And I feel comfortable saying right now that, yes, if things stand status quo, that the Rams have a better football team than the teams I just mentioned there.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Another team that, you look at the Cincinnati Bengals with their start last year, which was kind of the nail in the coffin.
Every year.
They're slow starters every single year.
Back to their Super Bowl year. They started off slow.
The NFL is basically telling them, please get off to a better start.
Right.
So we have you playing for the playoffs at the end of the year.
Definitely.
They are at Cleveland. Jacksonville's going to be better, but it's still Jacksonville. I mean, they were picking as high as they were for a reason with the new staff.
Yep.
Okay, at Vikings, at Broncos is not easy. But still, this team has to be at least 2-2 through the first 4 games.
That's the big thing, is can they get off to a good start? What are they going to do this offseason to address that, right? We've heard Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins talk about they've taken – I'll give Mike McDaniel a lot of respect in the fact that he's taken that we're not tough, we got to be tougher and win some of those games.
They drafted that way, I felt like.
He did, and he talks about it, and he takes it head on. What are the Bengals going to do to change this way of how they play and losing to teams that are lesser than them in the early part of the season? We saw it last year. It's eye-popping. It's what cost them to get in the playoffs. And again, at the end of the season, most everybody in you talk about anybody on TV, okay, the Ravens were the best team in the AFC, but everybody else was I don't know, the Bengals, are they the most dangerous team other than the Ravens in the AFC as we ended the season?
Nobody wanted to see them.
Nobody wanted to see them. You got the Browns, who were probably second to the Saints as far as dysfunction on a team. Who the hell knows what the quarterback thing's going to be? And
lowest win totals.
Right. The Jaguars, they're going to be a team that's kind of figuring themselves out, and this will be your home opener. So you'd like to think, hey, a team like the Cincinnati Bengals can do that. And then you go on the road and you hope hey, the Vikings are good, but you're hoping J.J. McCarthy's not hitting on all cylinders, right? So those are the things you're kind of hoping there. The schedule's not terribly easy. I don't want to say that, but the September schedule is set up to where, you're talking about, they should be in a good position. They have no excuse. If they're sitting there 2-3 or 1-3 or something like that, I just go, how the hell does that happen? And I am interested to see what Zach Taylor says about starting fast as we get into the season here.
It's a bookended schedule because it has a really soft start and a really soft ending.
Yes.
Where if the Bengals take care of those first 2 and the last 3, as they absolutely should, and win those 5, you just have to take a couple of the games you weren't supposed to, or a more 50-50 kind of games.
Sure, right.
Which is good for the sport, honestly, but they got to figure this out with Trey Hendrickson. That is such a backbone of their team that can't continue to linger.
No, it can't.
It seems like it's getting worse.
It's definitely getting worse. You're right. Trey Hendrickson's got to be – he's going to have to be strong here and hold his ground. Mm-hmm. Right, I understand Cincinnati's side of this. They're going, wait, you signed this deal just 2 years ago. And you signed it on a year where you got 8 sacks, where you kind of were thinking, I'm not sure how great I'm going to be, so let me get the financial security here right now. But then you have 2 years of 17-plus sacks, and now you're like, hey, that contract that you kind of saved me with in that year with the 8 sacks, I don't like it anymore. So I get their side. But I also want to go, you're in the window right now.
Yeah, you got to figure it out.
You don't have a very good defense. He's the leader of your defense, and that's an issue there too. And Zach Taylor should not be texting the fine schedule to the player. The coach, just be on the side of the player. Let the front office deal with the dirty crap. That's where I think it went wrong to me. And I know he talked about it getting personal. Zach, a good coach, hey, just keep it. Hey, we can't wait to get you in here, man. We're excited for you.
Right.
We love you.
He's a good cop.
We know you're a great leader. We're so much better when you're here. I've been upstairs in the front office, pounding the table for you a little bit, right? You shouldn't be like the guy that has to be the executioner. You're the head coach. You got to rally the troops. You can't be the guy that's like, hey, and by the way, since you're not here and doing that, we're definitely going to fine you when you're not here for the minicamp. Let Duke Tobin or the owner say that to him.
I think that's the issue.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
I
think it's an infrastructure issue.
Yeah, it's
with Cincinnati.
that way.
They have the smallest scouting department in the
Right.
NFL for a reason,
Right.
and they have an owner that has a bad financial reputation.
Yeah.
So it's trickled down where Zach Taylor is obviously feels like his back against the wall and did
he's gonna
something
do
a little
some
out of
that
character.
stuff. Yeah,
Right. So so the Bengals at least have the 5th easiest September schedule in the NFL. The 4th easiest September schedule in the NFL, Chris, is the San Francisco 49ers, who a lot of roster turnover with this team, but obviously still a great coaching staff. Robert Saleh returns to handle the defense. And hopefully, most importantly for the Niners out of the gate, health this year.
Yes, right. They can stay healthy. We know there's a culture there and still players there that, we know they're retooling on the fly, but it's still Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Trent Williams,
Year 2
Brandon
rookie Pearsall,
Ayuk,
I think, will be a lot better.
Exactly right. Fred Warner's still there. Nick Bosa's still there. Right, so there's some guys there where you look at and go, wait, this team's not just going to lay down and die just because they're going, the organization's retooling here. No, and it goes into, again, you're going to go up to Seattle where, we know knowledge of that team. We've had our way with them. They've got a new quarterback figuring things out and an offensive coordinator that comes from the Shanahan coaching tree.
And they know Sam Darnold
exactly.
really well.
So there's some favorites there. The Saints, as we've already talked about. So you look at that and go, wait, all right, so there's 2 road games against teams that I would go, you're more talented then. You can go 2-0 on the road, and then you get to come home and go, hey, it's the home opener, and it's the Cardinals, a team that maybe could be one of those teams that wasn't in the playoffs that gets into the playoff picture this year.
Right.
And the Jaguars, who we've talked about, are still going to be kind of finding their way in week 4 there. So, the first 4 games, where the 49ers, I don't expect to be as good as they've been the last 4 or 5 years.
Be 4-0.
We could be sitting here going, hey, it's Thursday Night Football, and it's the Rams, and they're 4-0, and the Rams are 3-1, and here we go. So that's what I'm excited for them. They do have a legit chance here to kind of get this new team, new regime, Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator, everything kind of rolling before they play the Rams on that Thursday Night Football game and get into some tougher games in their schedule.
Right after them with the 3rd easiest September schedule in the NFL is the New England Patriots, who are kind of everyone's chalk pick for most improved.
Yeah.
Their win total is at 8.5.
Yeah.
I mean, they were picking 4th in the draft.
That's
win
pretty.
So there's the Mike Vrabel effect.
Yeah.
There's the spending a lot of money in free agency effect. And I think most importantly, building in a jump for Drake May that we don't know if it'll happen, but from the flashes we saw, everybody's hoping that it happens because you don't see a lot of teams pick 4th in the draft and then have an 8.5 win total.
It's very shocking. It is. I think you're saying it right. And hey, listen, we got a group of young quarterbacks right now that I'm in the midst of ranking my quarterbacks and doing this work right now, where guys like Drake May and Bo Nix and Caleb Williams and Michael Penix, they're going to be the hardest guys for me to place here as I'll get back to the Patriots schedule, but just because the expected jump. That's where there's some guys where I go, okay, I know this guy's got more pelts on the horse and he's been in the NFL for a while and has had some consistent success, but we kind of know what he is now. And these guys have the potential to be better than them. They have better physical ability. They know how to play the position. And those are the ones where, I try to project in my rankings of going into here it is, week 1, what I think they'll be. And I think guys like Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix are going to make a lot of headway and cover a lot of room here in this offseason in the training camp where they're not only talented, but they're going to catch up to some of these guys who have more experience.
Right.
And that's one of the things I come into. And, you're saying it right. Drake May with Josh McDaniels, I mean, that's scary.
Right.
They can do some good things, let alone the Vrabel factor and what they've done to improve the roster. And then you look at this, and again, another team that's, a new team, a new culture, but they're going to have a chance to go, hey, at least 2 out of the first 4 teams we played, the Panthers and the Raiders, we're better than them.
Right,
Our team is better, right?
Yeah.
And then can we steal a game and beat the Dolphins down there in Miami, or maybe upset the Steelers at home and catch them on an off day? I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you in that I think the Patriots will be improved, and I tend to lean. What was it? 8?
8.5.
8.5. Ooh. I tend to lean over.
I sit at 8.
Yeah, but it's really tough.
But it could go both ways.
To your point, like the Cowboys, I mean, they missed Dak Prescott last year. They won 7 games without their starting quarterback, and they're still only a 7.5 win projected total. It is odd to see the third pick of the draft be this highly favored.
Right, and you want the soft September schedule if you're New England. You have a Stephon Diggs ACL return.
Yep.
That takes historically
Definitely.
receivers need that September as a full ramp up. Like you said, new offense, new head coach, a lot of different stuff. It's better to kind of have the slow ramp up.
September, not bad. October, not that bad.
No.
At Saints, at Titans, Browns, Falcons. Again, just teams that are, I think, going to be all over the place.
As a player, you prefer the late bye?
No, I do not.
Okay,
I do
what's
not.
the perfect bye
I
range?
think, the perfect buy, and I should have said this because I think I would want it somewhere around like week 8 or 9. That to me is like, hey, we got in a groove. We got to work week by week and kind of stack the blocks and get better and better. Okay, we're getting to a part of the season now where, shit, it's Wednesday and I'm waking up tired and sore still.
Body hurts.
This would be nice to take a little break here and recalibrate for our second push into the late part of the season, right? Late part of the season, like, there's some benefits, but you can be so beat up that you're like, oh my gosh, are we ever going to get a bye week to come along? And what I would always get scared of on teams when I was on late bye weeks is, you take a week off in December or whatever. It's just the time of the year where you don't want to be taking a week off.
Momentum.
Like the really good teams are like, hey, we're getting better and better. Yeah. We're about to kick some ass and be at our pinnacle. And you don't want to have that week or two that you can have sometimes after the bye week where you're like, damn, we got a little sloppy with details because we took that week off. Where our pads aren't low, whatever, all those type of things. And that's where I would worry about that with those late season buys.
Another team, a lot of eyeballs on the Chicago Bears, not only for year 2 of Caleb Williams, but the hiring of Ben Johnson and a schedule that is going to give Ben Johnson a little bit of a tour of a division he knows well, Chris. He kicked things right off on Monday Night Football against the Vikings. Caleb Williams against J.J. McCarthy should be really, really interesting. And then they get to go to Detroit and kind of show, hey, like, you miss me, like you said.
Right. There's knowledge there, right? There's knowledge of those teams, and that's a great benefit that Ben Johnson's to be able to teach Caleb Williams and be like, hey, wait, these are guys that I know really well. I'll be able to, when they do this, they're going to bring this blitz. When they do that, they're going to bring this coverage. So and then, of course, as creative as he is, he's scary. And like the Patriots, and you said a minute ago, Connor, like I kind of look at the Bears as the Patriots NFC version, right? Where I think they maybe are the most improved team in the NFC, and they're a team that picked high in the draft that I think win totals will exceed that. So, that's what you like about it. Now, the schedule, it's not easy. It's not. And they definitely have some stretches where you go, whoa, like, at Ravens, at Bengals. Then they get a little Giants, but then they get, at Vikings, Steelers, at Eagles, at Packers. They're in that
that's
November.
A tough 11 to 14
stretch.
weeks are brutal.
That's a stretch there for sure. But I think what we're saying, too, is those first 4 weeks where you and I put more value into it, there's some chances of like, the Vikings and Lions are better, but I see not so much better that a Ben Johnson might not be able to close the gap a little bit and pull off an upset. And then the Cowboys and Raiders, we know the Cowboys are going to be good, but I don't think they'll be that much better than the Bears. I think the Bears' talent is close to that, and they'll be at home. So that'll be interesting, and then I do think they're better than the Raiders. So, the Bears have a chance here to bounce back and get their first year under Ben Johnson off to a good start.
Playoff odds for the 2024 non-playoff teams, courtesy of DraftKings. Of course, the Niners and the Bengals are at the top of this list. The Niners minus 200, and kind of for reasons we said, Chris. Like, you look at that schedule, no matter what you think of the turnover on the roster, they have a cakewalk September for the class they're in. The Bengals just have to start better. The NFL has given them the opportunity to do that. So these teams are both in the minus territory. Teams that are expected to take a jump. Arizona, no surprise. They've made a lot of moves this offseason. They have continuity on the coaching staff. The Patriots, as we highlighted, 8.5 is their win total, so they're plus 135. And then the Seahawks at plus 150. That's just a matter of if people believe or not Sam Darnold can kind of sustain this success.
That's right. I mean, if you got some extra money and you want to throw it out there to the DraftKings Sportsbook, Arizona, New England, Chicago, and Dallas are the teams that I kind of look at to go. And I know San Francisco. I get that. So I'm trying to give you something outside the obvious. Yep. Right. I'm trying to – the Bengals, I get that too. But I also want to sit there with the Bengals and go, I know they got those dudes on offense, but I still am worried about their defense. And Al Golden coming into town and having to do that and deal with the Trey Hendrickson stuff is annoying. It's annoying. And like I started off the show, like I look at the NFC – and you talk about the 7 playoff teams, the Lions, the Eagles, the Bucks, the Rams, the Vikings, Washington, and Green Bay. I don't see a lot of these teams falling off. This is not I look at a lot of these teams and go, wait, they got better, or they have young guys on their team that are going in an upward trajectory where I go, they're going to be better this year. So that's where I find it interesting. And even in the AFC, when I get into it, I just go, I have a hard time thinking Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston, and the Chargers won't be in the mix for stuff here. And same with Denver.
Right.
And then you get into, okay, Pittsburgh, New England, Cincinnati for that last spot. I think what I'm getting back to is what I said at the start. I think we're in a year here where I don't think we're going to see as much playoff turnover as we usually do. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see where it goes.
You'd basically need, and nobody wants this, a quarterback injury. Otherwise, like, why would things change that much?
It feels like the top teams are kind of in their window, in their prime. And they did have good off seasons.
They all have continuity.
They didn't lose guys where I'm like, oh no, like, yeah, I know the Eagles lost a few guys and they replaced them with awesome guys.
This every year,
right? You know, so I don't know what there's nothing to worry about. But yes, some of these teams I just look at and I go, they're not going anywhere, and it's going to be hard to dethrone some of these top teams we're looking at right now.
DraftKings Sportsbook is your home for live betting, and new customers could bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Just download the app and use the promo code Unbuttoned when you sign up.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. We're going to take one more break here. Next, we'll look at some teams who might have tougher starts, including those Houston Texans. All right, let's take a look at some tougher roads with the 2025 NFL schedule release. And one road that hasn't been too tough, Chris, is the AFC South, for the Texans at least. Now, it's going to get a little bit more competitive, of course, hopefully healthy Jacksonville Jaguars, new staff. Travis Hunter is there. We'll see what the Titans can do with Cam Ward, but, you know, he's a rookie quarterback, of course. Do you think the Texans can just cruise to another AFC South title when you look at their schedule?
I don't want to say cruise.
Eighth toughest schedule in the NFL, by the way. Nothing crazy, but
nothing crazy, right? They are a team that's gonna be improved. They're damn good. I know their offensive line. We look at that and go, maybe that's the one spot, but I think they got confidence in what they've done there, and they like the guys they got there. The rest of the team, there's not very many holes. I mean, there's a lot of explosive talent on both sides of the football. They're special that way. But, like, can you sit here and go, wait, they could be 2-3 after 5 weeks? Yes. Sure. Like I said a minute ago with the Rams, like, going to L.A., your first game of the year, and having to play McVay, and he's going to be unveiling the Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams offense, and they can run the ball, and their defense is damn good and only going to be better with some of the young guys that are a year older. So it's not crazy to think they can lose that. And then the Buccaneers, we know how good they are too. I know it's at home and going to be a Monday Night Football game, right? One of those first doubleheader Monday Night Football games we have early on in the football season. But, like, the Buccaneers are real too. So like, to think like maybe 0-2, I'm not expecting that, but okay. And then you got the Jags and Titans, and then you're at the Baltimore Ravens, who absolutely just obliterated you late in the year last year. I mean, you could have played running back for the Ravens in that game and ran for 100 yards, like, no joke. So I expect them to be really good, but I could see them getting off to a sluggish start and then having to really fight back and claw back to get on top of the AFC South and the AFC standings in general.
They basically just have to take care of business in their division. You almost want to be, of course, 5-1 in the division because, like you said, you have the Rams and the Bucs out of the gate. You do go to Baltimore week 5. You have the Niners and Broncos back-to-back weeks 8 and 9.
Yeah.
You play the Bills on a short week. And you play at Kansas City 2 weeks later here on NBC.
Right.
So I guess the good thing for the Texans is when you look at how they end the season, the last 4 games, Cardinals, Raiders, Chargers, Colts, that's a situation that they're expected to be 3-1. But nothing is given in the NFL. It's definitely a tougher road, and it's just going to require not only their offensive line to be better, but obviously more growth from C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, more growth from C.J. Stroud. And we're I think he was a little unfairly blamed last year. I think you remember me saying that a little. There was issues with their way they protect schematically and how things were done at the line of scrimmage that just weren't favorable to C.J. Stroud, and they were unfair. And I watched too many games that go like, wait, this guy's just not going to be blocked. And again, they didn't empower C.J. Stroud to take over in those type of situations to where I think you're going to see a different guy at the line of scrimmage this year. I think the offensive line will be better. But there's no Tank Dell. We're going to have Christian Kirk with Nico Collins, and then we're going to have two rookie second-rounders kind of show up on the scene and start to help out. The defense, I think, is going to be top-notch, one of the best in football like it was last year. I expect Houston to win the AFC South. I think the Colts can be a pain in the ass. The Jags, right, I think I'll have moments of being pain in the ass. I get that. And then
Tennessee's they're in a kind of a total
same kind of thing almost, like pain in the ass, Cam Moore to make plays.
Right.
But, I think Houston is clearly the class of the AFC South.
All right, our last group here, let's look at some non-playoff teams that it's going to be a big hill to climb to get back into that group. As much as you and I are bullish on Dallas this year, they're the Cowboys. They have 6 primetime games. That's the second most in the NFL. Kansas City, of course, has 7. And this division is just brutal, where that's really where it starts. You're at the Eagles, of course, week 1, then the Giants, and then you kind of look at the back half of the schedule, Chris. That's where a lot of the primetime and, of course, holiday games come into play for a team that plays on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Definitely. And again, the Giants, they're better than them week 2. We get that. The Giants' defense is going to be a handful, though. That's one thing I think people are sleeping on. You're going to go to Chicago and deal with that. That won't be easy. Dallas is, yes, like we've talked about, better than people realize, but there are some real stretches and some real schedule craziness, just like the Chiefs have to deal with, especially in the late part of the year. I think that's the thing you look at more than anything. So there's a team that I don't expect to win the NFC East. I'm not saying that, but I do think in playoff contention all year. And you're going to have a stretch, I think, where we get into, like, their November, December to me is as tough as anybody I've seen.
Yeah.
Again, Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants, okay? Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders. Again, I'll say it one more time. I don't care what their records are, as long as their quarterbacks are healthy and those are not going to be easy. They might not be, 10-2 or 9-1 or whatever you want to say there, but the culture and what's there, I just go, no, that's going to be brutal no matter what those teams are, unless they're totally decimated by injury. And Dallas is going to have to show they're a playoff quality team in November and December to get in the playoffs. I think that's what I look at more than anything with their schedule.
Yeah, the biggest thing with Dallas, besides Dak being back, is can Micah Parsons be the best defensive player in the NFL? And that's on the table, for sure. But he needs to take over against those teams that they're not going to be favored against. And there's a lot of matchups like that on their schedule.
It is. I'm excited to see him with Enzarique and Dante Fowler back in the mix. And they got a good secondary. These 2 receivers they got are dangerous there. I saw Micah Parsons, a video of him the other day. He looks thinner and in shape. So that'll be interesting to see kind of how that translates on the football field. But, yeah, Dallas, there's some things to like about their team. And they are a team that they certainly don't blink from the big lights or the big stage either. Dak Prescott, though, I would say is the biggest year of his career. I think it's the biggest year of his career. Again, he's the highest paid quarterback in football. I know Josh Allen and Florio tells me new money, he's more than Dak Prescott. But yearly average, I believe Dak is still on top. Is Dak even a top 10 quarterback is the question.
He hovers right at 12.
So you got to that doesn't make sense. And he's going to continue to be scrutinized until he plays better football and looks like a guy that's in the top 7 or top 8. And, of course, playoff wins and all of that is so much of what is dictated his career, and can he do that? But, yeah, I think Dallas is going to be better than people realize.
So you mentioned one of the first schedules you look at is the New York Giants. The Giants have the toughest schedule in the NFL.
You didn't need to read it to me.
Yeah.
I
based on opponents.
Right away looked at it, right? Because I have a streaming text message that I just send but I literally wrote, Giants, holy shit hard. their stretches all the way to the bye week is one of the toughest ones after another. Well, I don't know. I'm not even writing English there. But either way, look at their schedule
Point
here.
stands.
Okay? Their week 14 bye, where I don't like. Again, you're going to be beat up, tired, everything else. Other than the Saints in week 5, they are the lesser team on the field for 13 weeks in a row. And like, again, at Commanders and at Cowboys to start the year.
It's crazy.
And then your gift is a home opener is the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And then, hey, your other gift is the other AFC West team that went to the playoffs, the Chargers. Get ready for them. Okay, you get the Saints on the road nonetheless. Then it's short week Eagles. And then it's at Broncos, at Eagles. And then your other gift is, the 49ers at home. And then you're at Chicago, Packers at home, at Lions, at Patriots, bye week. I don't know anybody that's got a 13-week stretch like that right there.
And you kind of hate this bye week for them because, say, things start out for the Giants kind of how we expect those first 9 weeks.
Yeah.
You'd love maybe a week 10 bye to get Jackson Dart ready.
I hear you.
And get a look. But a week 14 bye, okay, you could still do that, and then he plays the Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, Cowboys. But there might be, if the Giants start off with 1 win in their first 8 games, like we know, we've lived in the tri-state area our whole lives. We understand exactly what's going to happen.
I don't think anybody up here is like, oh, gosh, we're so excited. Russell Wilson's got to be the guy forever. Like, we're literally, as a Giant fans, I think, just going, somebody play besides him. I mean, that's what I think most Giant fans are. I mean, really. And so I'm with you. Like, a week 5 or 6 bye week is always that perfect spot to start the new quarterback. I still won't put it out of reality to say he won't be week 1 starter.
Interesting.
Again, the way they're paying Russell Wilson is not paying him like he's guaranteed to be the guy, right? And Jackson Dart, we know he can run a pro offense and read the field and go through progressions and all that. And again, those are things that Russell Wilson's not very good at. I mean, that's really one of his kryptonites. That's why he's called Mr. Bomb or whatever they call him now. Yeah, Mr. Moonball, because that's all he's looking for all the time. He's like, wait, I got to look in there. There's a lot of bodies, and I don't want to throw it there. This is just let me throw it high and far, and maybe my one guy will get it. And that doesn't lead to consistent great offense. If they start off 0-4, if they go 0-4, the week 5 starter at New Orleans will be Jackson Dart. That's where I would kind of say it would happen, right around there. Or maybe they'll wait till the Eagles Thursday night football game, get their ass whooped then, and then go, okay, here we got 10 days for you to get ready for the Broncos game, right?
At Denver.
Right, but nothing's going to be. There's no nice
there's
spot here
there's not.
It does not exist.
It's the Saints. It's literally the Saints.
345 Park Avenue, which is in Manhattan, New York, they look like they they literally shot bow and arrows and shotguns at the schedule, and we're like, screw the Jets, screw the Giants. They're our neighbors. The hell with New York, and I know we live here, but we're going to kill both of these teams, and they have no chance of being in the playoffs. We're going to schedule it to where they're just demolished.
Well, if you don't believe us, look at the Jets. 7th toughest schedule for September in the NFL. I mean, the Jets and Giants were not good last year, and the NFL does not care. The Giants were favored just against the Saints. The Jets are favored in only 2 games. The Panthers week 7, which is no gimme.
Right.
And then week 10 against Cleveland after the bye week, which probably plays into that. But the thing with the Jets is the start. You know, you play the Steelers, the Bills, the Bucks, and then at the Dolphins, which the Jets haven't been great in Miami over the last decade.
No. Miami's always I always call it's a trap going out of Miami.
Too.
Right. You know, it's hot as hell, and then guys go down there and they're like, oh, I'm in Miami. This is awesome. Hey, you guys want to go out and get a bite to eat or do that? And like,
you're out 9 hours later.
Let's go look at all the crazy people on South Beach and, you know, girls in thongs and people wearing no clothes. Great, right. It's a distraction. It can get you that way. But yeah, like the Jets, I do think have a talented football team, but like the offense, right? Passing weapons other than Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields' ability to run the offense and dissect you with the passing game are things we all question. And you go, whoa, it's the Steelers with that defense.
Right.
But at the same time, you go, well, maybe he'll know a few tricks about it and he'll feel comfortable. I don't know. But yeah, I don't look at the early part of the schedule and just go, oh, slam dunk wins, all that. I feel bad for the Jets because I feel like this is about the 5th year in a row. I go, that's one of the tougher schedules I've seen in all of the NFL. And I don't know what Woody Johnson did to Roger Goodell, but he doesn't like him very much.
Yeah, last year was their regular rest because of the primetime games. This year, it's just the opponents, honestly, for a new regime and a new coaching staff and a new quarterback under center. The last team here, the Cleveland Browns, who, listen, a lot has gone against the way for the Browns, and that continues with their September schedule, which is by far the toughest in the NFL based off of win totals. Their first 6 games are against teams that were in the playoffs last year. It's also a product of the division they're in.
The division's brutal.
Right.
The Ravens, the Packers, the Lions. I mean, they're Super Bowl caliber teams. The Vikings of the team's a Super Bowl team, but the quarterback, we got to see that. It's a brutal schedule for the Cleveland Browns. And, again, with a team that has so many questions on the offensive side of the ball, like you just look at it and go, wow, is there going to be pressure on their defense to hold the fort down and make these games low scoring? Because, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't look at Cleveland and go, oh, I think they're going to be able to keep pace with 30-point games, right? That's not what they're going to be. 1, I don't know who their quarterback is. 2, the running back position's a question mark. 3, right, receiver, like, it's solid, but it's nothing wow, okay? So you look at it, and then you go, okay, can the defense be like they were 2 years ago, where they can just be in your face, create turnovers, cause issues like that? I don't know if I believe in that. I don't know. I mean, Myles Garrett, I love it. I love the Schlesinger pick from UCLA in the second round. Their secondary is awesome. I get that. But I do feel like people the last year showed you that they kind of started to realize how Schwartz is attacking with the Cleveland defense, and they found ways to attack it back and make a lot of plays. So, yeah, there's questions in Cleveland right now about everything on their football team, as we know, and they'll be dominated by Shedeur Sanders talk as they are today and yesterday and every day of the week so far.
Going forward until he's not a Brown.
Right.
So they are underdogs in every game except Week 14 against the Titans, which they're only 1.5-point favorites. That game could feasibly be a pick very shortly, especially like Cam Ward shows anything. Everyone's like, Tennessee actually is favored by a point.
By week 2, they could be Tennessee favorites.
I would be all over Tennessee on that Week 14 game. That's it for us, dude. That was
it. That was like, I mean, that was meaty but quick. Maybe
this
only
is the fastest we've
hour
ever done
and
a
10-minute podcast. But I hope everybody enjoyed it. We tried to hit a few themes that we found throughout the NFL. We hit on the marquee top teams. We tried to hit on some teams that had easy schedules, tough as hell. But as usual, I'm happy that Johnny Guns came in here.
That's right, we're here.
A.K.A. Connor Rogers. Thanks a lot for filling in for Ahmed. I appreciate it, man. Everybody, you know where to find us. Next week, it starts. Quarterback countdown. Yeah, it's that time of the year. I'm torturing myself at home at the kitchen table daily right now. That's what I'm doing. You know where to find us. Subscribe, rate, review. Got an interview with Matt LaFleur that's going to drop at some point in the next few days, so look out for that. But everybody, enjoy the weekend. Hopefully you get some good weather. Check out the Preakness on NBC. Peace out, homies. Clap it up. Yo, homies, what's up? Thanks for watching Chris Simms Unbuttoned. And just because the weather's warm doesn't mean football ain't still on our brains right here.
We are still working, so smash that subscribe button. We got all the training camp news, preseason news, everything up until kickoff night.
Thanks for watching. And again, remember to hit that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.